I'm Indrani Pal-Chaudhuri. I am a filmmaker and a photographer and a social justice advocate and a visiting lecturer at Princeton, and other educational institutions. And I'm the founder of Shakti Empowerment Education in India.
Awesome. I was thinking about your involvement with women's empowerment and entrepreneurship. And I wanted to talk a little about that, and because I feel like what's happening culturally with Roe v. Wade becoming like a football issue, and how does that impact, entrepreneurship, even though it's kind of in the abstract because it's such a basic service. But I feel like, the role of women has kind of just, it's like a spotlight there now. And I wanted to talk to you about it and see what your involvement is and how you impact women's lives and all that whole thing.
Well, thank you for asking. I've been working on women's empowerment since I was 18. I founded Shakti Empowerment Education in India because I saw the great need and the great lack of role models, lack of education around how women can find equality, how men can help to empower women as well. So our school is both girls and boys because it goes hand in hand. So what's happening now, I think there's a reaction to the advances that we've made as a species. I think that there's always a sort of pendulum shift, and as every step we take forward, there are some who feel it's too far and they want to pull back, and others then that want to push forward more. So I'm not alarmed. Many of my friends are. I kind of expected to see some kind of reaction like this. So I think that what we have to do as humans is all take a step back from the rhetoric and from the sense of like, oh my God, something needs to happen now, or has to, and look at the big picture of why we're where we are. As a filmmaker and as an artist, I take personal responsibility, and I think we all need to, for shaping the narratives that help shape who people are today. And I think that there hasn't been enough attention around finding equality around women, women's bodies, women's minds. So many films are created, 90% of films are created by men. So since that's the dominant art form of our time, it's hardly surprising that that people are out of touch with what women are experiencing and focus entirely on a patriarchal view still.
So when you're lecturing at the various educational, is there a specific topic that you're known for? Is it about the women's empowerment, or is it something else?
Yeah, I'm known for, and my lectures are all around empowerment, equality, diversity. The course that I was teaching at Princeton last year was called Mobilizing Millions with Art and Film for Social Justice and Human Rights, which pretty much encompasses everything that I care about and what I do.
Right.
And I think that all of these issues need to be seen together. I think there's a great urge to divide and for everyone to say, well, my issue is, bisexual, multiracial, whatever, people are all in their tiny little areas, and we need to look at this together because it's all the same issue. It's a question of, do we want people to have equality? Do we want people to be able to contribute to society on an equal basis, and what do we lose if we don't do that as a society as a whole, not just for those individuals, but those, you look at a woman who's forced to have a baby that she can't take care of, how does that hurt society? That's what we should be looking at as much as all the rest of the debates, is like, what is the cost?
I like that you say that everyone's in their own kind of subcategory of, whether it's sexual orientation, color, race, gender you know, and then there's so many genders now that I just really feel I agree with you. I feel like, you know, if we're not going to all come together over these bigger issues, such as a woman's right to choose, such as, you know, healthcare. I mean, there's 2 or 3 boxes that I think we all, no matter what you identify as, needs to make sure you're falling under the right umbrella there, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And, but, you know, it's funny because I don't think enough people say what you just said. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, I think that we have great power in numbers, but when we just focus on the one issue that's closest to each of us, I think that we really start to lose our humanity, because it shouldn't just be about your own particular situation. I mean, I think if you're going to stand up for rights, you have to stand up for all rights that are in similar danger, and that's how we can advance as a people.
Right. So you see what's happening politically now and how fractured everybody is.
Yeah.
I see you as a very spiritual kind of thinker. And how do you approach, what would you recommend people in this time to kind of help navigate the kind of horror that, you know, no one's exhibiting a spiritual, you know what I mean? The people that are claiming God and that their God and their belief system are actually not doing anything related to spirituality.
Yeah, I find it's so fascinating that the people that shout loudest about God often are the least godly. They have the least compassion. It's like, you
Exactly.
know, if you believe in a religion that's about compassion and you know, helping those who are less fortunate than yourself, then you kind of need to act in accordance with that. And I you know, I think that there are people who are atheists who are far more spiritual, and do far more for their fellow humans, but they don't make as much of a fuss about, you know, what they believe in. So I think I don't think it's about belief. I think it's really all about what you're prepared to do as a human to help those who are less fortunate than yourself. And that's the key, is if you just focus on your own, you know, what's good for you, then you know, ultimately sort of fascist society will pick off every little group, and you know, and they will come for for your group as well, whether or not
Right?
that's the target right now. And I think that's what we have to learn from, you know, the last time we spoke was actually on Clubhouse, and we were talking about your the music you're bringing to the world from Auschwitz, right? Which
It was a
really
different camp, but yeah, it's the same
yeah,
vibe.
yeah. Yeah. And it moved me tremendously thinking about that. I'm actually working on a project now about a women's orchestra from Auschwitz, which
Oh,
really, that there are these incredible stories,
yeah.
and I think it's important that we look back to remind ourselves of, you know, of what can go, you know, how much worse things can get, and how quickly those things happen, and how much we are responsible each day to prevent terrible things from coming down the line. So we have to stop things, you know, where we're at. Don't wait till things get even worse.
Are you
We
doing
really,
a documentary about that?
yeah, I'm working on a
Awesome.
documentary. Yeah.
There must be a healthy amount of information about that. I have to, I don't, I'm gonna send you separately, but there's an Italian man who's been doing extensive research and gathering all the music that was composed in the concentration camps. He's starting a museum in Italy somewhere. I
Oh,
saw him on CBS Sunday he was on 60 Minutes, and I'll send you his information
I
because
love
there
that.
might be something that would be relevant for you there too.
Yeah. I'm working with an orchestra in New Zealand, and they've gathered what's called the forbidden music. So it was all the music created by Jewish composers during those times, and this group of women, they risked everything not only to inspire the people who are in the camps, but also to be rebellious and to play some of that forbidden music within the camps even.
Right, right.
Really,
You know, the conversation that we have when we talk about on the project that I am doing is that these people are like musical heroes,
yeah.
you know, and no one's ever kind of looked at it that way. But that's, you know, because the word hero, we're just in American culture, we look at heroes that are doing things that, you know, you want to emulate, but, you know, no one, you don't think of being in a concentration camp and you creating music is something you want to emulate. It's something you can think is amazing when you find out about it, but so few people know about it anyway. So it's almost like thank you for, you know, shedding a light on the many heroes, musical heroes that have just gone unnoticed. You know, I feel like it's an awesome thing to do. It just makes you feel like, you know, the gods shining, you know, good energy on you for doing this kind of stuff. And whether you believe in God or not, I sometimes don't even want to discuss that necessarily. I just want to be able to feel like I'm doing something of value that I can leave behind on earth, or else what the am I doing here, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And I think those stories are so powerful because people often feel that they're powerless. And we are, each of us have an enormous ability, enormous power. We have this incredible gift of liberty, which means we can do for others so much more. And when you look at someone who was in a concentration camp and was able to help others and was able to inspire, I mean, in the most dire circumstances, then we really have no excuse. You know, we have
No,
time, we have resources, we take for granted that liberty, and we shouldn't.
no, that's absolutely awesome. And I'm so excited for that project for you. Please keep me in the loop.
I will, absolutely.
What else have you been doing? Are you doing anything for the holidays or?
Well, I'm working with my school in India. We've finally come out of the COVID nightmare there to a certain extent. Obviously, it's still a risk, but now there's all these women and kids who need to catch up. They've been, you know, really fallen behind because they don't have smartphones, they don't have computers. So this whole COVID period, over a year and a half, they've been pretty much without education. We've had teachers who've dropped off packets to each of their households and risked their lives to do that and provide resources, but it's not the same as getting to spend time
Can
in
you
the
just
class.
tell me a little about the schools so we can share that
Yeah.
information?
Yeah, so we have 300 children and women from the most disenfranchised parts of India in Bengal. These are kids who otherwise would work in the factories in the field, and women who have, we give them training, we give them microfinancing after 6 months of vocational training, and we've had an incredible, I mean, it's just been amazing to see these women transform their lives with just a very little amount of resources. So they either raise chickens and ducks, or they do handicrafts, and these groups have been extraordinarily successful, gone from being beggars on the streets to being able to employ their neighbors in their communities.
Awesome.
So it's very exciting. It's you know, seeing how powerful they are and how they're able to very quickly help others. That's really the first thing that they do, and I think that that's important. You know, I've learned so much from these women and kids, just to see how much we all gain by helping others. So, you know, the strength and resilience and confidence that you gain when you can help someone else, it's really a beautiful thing to see, and something we all need to learn from. And so now we're working on building a media lab to provide digital literacy and to provide access to computers, because so much of you know, so many of these women and kids, that now they have literacy from our programs, but they're not really able to do as much with it without being able to get jobs on the computer or be able to connect with the world. So that's our next goal, and we're doing a fundraiser for that.
Well, you're definitely angling your way into heaven, honey, by helping people that much. Just a quick something just for everyone else, that Indrani and I met in the most like this way. We met on like some like photo shoot kind of, reality show, different lives for both of us, right?
That's right. That's
Such
right.
different lives. Lindsay Lohan, blah, blah, blah. I won't even get into detail, but all you have to know is we have seen the light and have changed our ways. And actually, she's starting this. There's a reality show she's doing on Netflix, I just read. So that should be like
Well, I guess, yeah.
riveting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We were doing the show Double Exposure about doing photo shoots around the world, and my goal with that, actually, we did manage to go to India on that show and show
Right.
school. So that was my reason for doing that show. But since then, I've been able to bring my passion for social justice and human rights much more in alignment with the work that I do each day. So I've been able to work with a lot of nonprofits. I work with the UN. I work with, I've won some amazing awards. I've been very fortunate just to be able to make a difference with the stories that I tell. And I won a CNN Expose Award, Tribeca Film Festival Disruptive Innovation Award, and the Mark Cranbrook Global Peacemaker Award. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Social justice, this is the year that all social justice warriors need to come together to make sure that America does not spin out into a fascist society.
Yeah, yeah. It is.
I'll be damned if I live in a country that goes that far backwards. I mean, my mother did not survive Dachau, so that I should live in a state where that is all the same kind of tone in the language. Like, I don't think it would spin that quickly into what happened to Germany in the 40s, but I don't think it would be that much longer after that it would just evolve, because evil evolves quickly. Goodness takes so much frigging time. It's like the turtle versus the hare,
It's true. And what we all have to keep in mind too is that when you look at Germany and what happened as the Nazis rose to power, it was all about pushing boundaries. It was like, okay, we're going to do this thing that should be super objectionable, but people are not uprising against it. Great, we can go and do the next, and that it's that erosion of rights that is incredibly important too, even for people who maybe don't care as much about this particular issue. You have to understand that it's part of a bigger plan, and if you let those rights be eroded that are of an area that you don't care about, it will end up snowballing and taking down other areas of rights. So I mean, personally, of course, I'm very, very passionate about women's rights. I think it's essential that that we have equality, and that's all that this is really undermining in a dramatic way. If you don't have a right over your own body, what other rights are matter?
It's really, it's so clear that it's almost like, it makes me so angry to know that I even have to try to make sense out of something that makes absolutely no sense. But thank you. Happy holidays, happy new year, and I'm sure we will be in touch. Congratulations on that project. Sounds really exciting.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays, darling.